All right, well, it's time now for us to review headlines of today's newspapers. And of course, Steve will begin with today's newspaper of record. That's this day on a Saturday.
Let's take it from top to bottom. I think it's a piece of good news on the window section, the window column of the newspaper today. It says Providus becomes 9th largest bank by assets as it combines with Unity Bank. And the rider shareholders endorse a deal. So, you know, when a CBN says that about 14 banks, I believe, have made they've met the threshold of the consolidation that will end by at the end of March next year. It's good to know that I'm sure that Providus Bank, you know, in merging with Unity Bank, will be among those 14. And of course, that will bring it to becoming the 9th largest bank by assets. That's a major feat for Providus Bank. And of course, it says a lot about, you know, investor and shareholder confidence in the bank. Below that, we go to NNPC, which is, it says NNPC remits 8.86 trillion naira to the Federation in 7 months and records 539 billion. Sorry, how much is that? 539 billion profit in August alone. That story is on page 5 of today's This Day on Saturday, this day of the Lord, September the 27th. And below the masthead, federal government vows to unlock tourism potential, targets 7.2 trillion contribution to GDP. Isn't that a wonderful thing to, you know, to project, Kachi?
It is.
Given that we spoke earlier when we spoke with Adesua, you know, about the importance of the creative economy and tourism. And here we have the federal government saying that we'll unlock the tourism potential and that we are targeting 7.2 trillion contribution to the GDP. I'm sure that this will be connected to the Honorable Minister Hannatu Musawa, you know, and all the Director Generals under her in the ministry who are doing quite well, given the circumstance that we have in the country at this time. So we do encourage them, let them go for it. You know, move from 7 point something to 10 trillion. Who says that we can't do it? We really can do it. And then to the lead story, and of course it takes everyone back to Ibadan. You know, the momentous occasion, the lead story, the lead, you know, picture. In fact, the only picture there, the main picture, and that of the president, you know, in excitement, you know, is all about the fact that Ibadan now has a new, very popular, a very charismatic, very enigmatic traditional ruler, former senator and former governor of Oyo State, Oba Rashidi Adewolu Akomu Ladoja. And the headline says, Oba Ladoja achieves lifelong dream, crown 44th Olubadan, pushes for Ibadan State. That's one major thing that he said to the president. That was his only request, you know, that he would like for Ibadan State to be created. I'm not so sure. I think that the jury is still out on the desirability of states generally, of additional states. Many people will argue that 36 states are actually too much, you know, for Nigeria, given that almost half of them, in one way or the other, are still struggling. You know,
more than half of them are still struggling.
Absolutely, you know, irrespective of the fact that when you change the money that they are collecting now to dollar, it becomes nothing, even though you think that there's a lot of money that they are getting. There are many other people who are also saying that let's return to regionalism, and those people also include Yorubas, who think that regional government will reduce cost of governance and will make life a lot more meaningful and will speak more directly to the unity in diversity that Nigeria represents. But hey, Oba Rashidi Ladoja says, we want Ibadan State the same way that some other folks are pushing for an Oyo State out of the present Oyo State. But we salute the king, we congratulate him. The picture here shows the king with his wives, his 2 beautiful wives, who will support him, you know, in his reign. as the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land, Keadepelori, as we say in this part of the world. And I like the picture of the president. You know, it was like, hey, this is my body. You know, we were in the Senate together. We were in the class of 2003 to 2007 as governors. And here we are, me and president, and he also fulfilling his lifelong ambition of becoming the royal father of the Republican city of Ibadan land. Congratulations to him. And last but not the least, Ikota Lekki residents count losses, say every rainfall is a disaster. Kachi, you're an islander. How have you been coping?
Well, I am an islander who just stays indoors, so I can't relate, to be very honest. I don't go outside. But I think we can quickly take a look at the story of the Punch newspaper, yes,
Correct.
Pengassan, which happens to be the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, threatening to picket Dangote refinery. Now, what is this all about? They're claiming about 800 Nigerian workers at the Dangote refinery were sacked without due consultation shortly after they unionized, that is, joined Pengassan. Now, this union is also alleging that these positions were replaced with about 2,000 Indian nationals, that is, of course, foreign workers. Now, of course, Dangote management disputes these claims, saying that this was just part of a reorganization for the company. Now, Pengassan insists that they are being targeted because it's a retaliation technique due to the fact that they decided to join the union. But the point is, Pengassan threatening to picket Dangote refinery. I'm not quite sure why this is the response to that in any way, shape, or form. Because at the end of the day, we want to they're looking at mobilizing national solidarity and possibly enforcing individual or legal actions if reinstatement is not granted. I think what we need to focus on is why they were removed in the first place. What was the reason? Because the Dangote refinery in a letter has said that there were several issues that led to this, I would say, sack, you know, as we are now seeing it, you know. So they said only a small number was affected.
That's what Dangote said. But, you know, freedom of rights of workers, freedom of association is very well entrenched in the Constitution of Nigeria. And, of course, we must not support anything that would deny any worker freedom of association.
Absolutely.
But having said that, we also know that when a company, particularly a privately owned company like Dangote Refinery decides to want to reorganize, there's little that you can say when it comes to that, because investment, has to be protected, several things have to be done. So if you have Pengassan claiming that Dangote is trying to become a cabal, by not listening to union, then it looks like Pengassan itself is also acting like a cabal. Who doesn't...
are going to say, if you don't listen to us, we're going to do this
we're
to you.
going to do exactly.
And I think that is where the issue is. Joining a union is fantastic, but I think as an organization, you have to protect your moral and structural integrity at every cost, union or not. You have to protect it. So I think what the key thing is, since Dangote is alleging sabotage, we need to understand why these 800 people were sacked and replaced with over 2,000 people. What is the rationale in that? So there's a lot of investigation that I think Pengassan needs to also juxtapose with its threats, so it makes more sense to the people at large.
Absolutely. Do we have the Tribune or the Guardian there before we? No. We haven't got Saturday Times here, but let's take a look at what they have there. It's also all about Pengassan, and all the trouble with Dangote, and of course there is a focus on Tubaba Two-Face, who clocked
at 50, a tribute. I'm very interested in reading what that tribute is going to be about, considering he's had a very dramatic couple of months. Yeah. That should be interesting.
It will be interesting. All right, it looks like we will have to leave it there and leave the remaining for tomorrow, when we'll have the whole 30 minutes to review the paper. So that brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching, and do stay safe.
Absolutely.
Are you already?
My apologies. And I'm Kachi Ofia from our entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria. Enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.